Negroni week, dry January, and sober October walk into a bar. The bartender says, it must be cocktail time, because if you want a great option for a non-alcoholic Negroni, you came to the right place. As per popular request, today I'm showing you how to make a non-alcoholic gin, and since we already did Zero Vermouth and Zero Campari on the channel, you'll finally have everything you need for the perfect bittersweet zero-proof cocktail, the Negroni. We'll also make a very simple non-alcoholic gin and tonic, if you only make today's ingredient. No alcohol doesn't have to mean no flavor, and certainly doesn't mean no fun, because making these and enjoying the result without any side effects of alcohol is a lot of fun. Comment below if there are other non-alcoholic ingredients you'd like to see DIY versions of, then make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell icon so don't miss any new episodes. Now it's Zero Cocktail time. Since we already made non-alcoholic bitters, whiskey, vermouth and Campari, you've heard this before. Don't expect today's Zero Gin to be a direct replacement of its distilled bigger brother. All alcohol-free products have a limited capacity to retain flavor. Essential oils and water don't want to mix, and alcohol will always do a better job at extracting flavored compounds. The starting point for today's recipe was again the book Zero, a new approach to non-alcoholic drinks. But here I really modified the recipe quite a lot, after trying their juniper tincture from water, glycerol and juniper berries. But the amount of glycerol added too much sweetness in my opinion. Our process will be a little different. I'll still link the book in the description as a valuable resource for non-alcoholic ingredients. We'll make the base of the gin substitute in a sous vide. Then we'll add juniper berries for resinous pine flavor and bitterness and let it infuse overnight. So for the first part, we'll be combining water, glycerol and a number of botanicals, from lemon peels, ginger, seeds, spices, roots and acids, and cooking that with a sous vide. Later we'll blend in juniper berries, which you need for any gin, and optionally Pectinex for a clearer end result after the infusion and straining. So let's start by adding these things into a sous vide bag, starting with 30 ml or 1 ounce of glycerol. This, together with water, is what will do the main extraction of flavor compounds from the botanicals. I'm adding 1 liter or about 34 ounces of water. Next, 17 grams of fresh lemon peels and 9 grams of fresh ginger, peeled and cut super thin. Follow that with 12 grams of coriander seeds, lightly crushed with a mortar and pestle, and 5 grams of fennel seeds. Next, the spices, 2 grams of star anise and half a gram of green cardamom, both crushed first as well. And I'll do the same thing with 1.8 grams of white peppercorn. Crushing it increases the surface area, making it easier to extract the flavors. And you know salt will enhance the flavors. I'm adding 1 gram. Next, for a little bitterness, 1 gram of angelica root. Then we go in with the acids, 2.4 gram each of tartaric and ascorbic acids. Now it's time to vacuum seal the bag. Double seal as always, just to make sure nothing escapes. And we'll place these in a sous vide bath for 1 hour and let it cook at 90 degrees Celsius or 195 degrees Fahrenheit. You can use a higher temperature since we don't have alcohol. And we also need a higher temperature, again because we don't have alcohol. Once it's done, leave this to cool completely. I'm using a cold water bath. Then cut open the bag and strain out the botanicals using a fine mesh strainer. Put this into a blender, then add a key ingredient for making gin, juniper berries. I'm adding 40 grams. As mentioned, Pectinex is optional, but 2 grams should be enough to help us end up with slightly clearer result. I want the juniper berries crushed, but not completely blended, so just give a few pulse blitzes. This will make sure it gives out enough flavor, but it's still possible to filter it out later. Place this in the fridge for about 12 hours, or at least overnight, for our Zero Gin to infuse. During this time, the juniper berries will infuse our non-alcoholic gin, but the Pectinex also breaks down pectin, helping us filter out some of the smaller solid particles. Along with the juniper berries, I'll be using a combination of a fine mesh strainer and a coffee filter for this. If your batch is more resinous, it might clog up the filter. In that case, use a cloth filter, but be prepared to throw it away after. This batch is still quite opaque, but it has more juniper aroma and taste than what I made at home, so I'm happy with it. One thing that can be a side effect of a clearer end product is that the juniper flavor is slightly toned down, so keep that in mind. Once filtered, bottle and label your Zero Gin for a longer shelf life. Pour it into smaller bottles and freeze it until you need it. Otherwise, keep this in the fridge and use it up within a week. This is one way to make Zero Gin. Another way would be to use juniper essential oils, but you need an emulsifier like gum arabic or xanthan gum. Another option is food-grade juniper berry hydrosol or floral water, similar to rose water or orange blossom water, but the availability of it is quite limited. which would make it harder for many of you to make zero gin like that, so we just blend in juniper berries. And lastly, an option that has 100 times the juniper flavor compounds of most non-alcoholic gin options, a gin tincture made with gin botanicals and a navy strand gin. 2 sprays of that into a glass, or around 5 ml, will be enough to make what is basically a non-alcoholic gin and tonic. I'll link the Art to Drink episode about this and more on non-alcoholic gin and spirits in the description. Any way you'll make it, it will probably be best when you'll mix it. And since we already mentioned gin and tonic, let's make one with our zero gin. We'll build the cocktail in a chilled highball glass over a clear ice sphere. Clear ice makes everything look nice, and that's equally important when you're making non-alcoholic cocktails. Start with 2 ounces or 60 ml of our zero gin. Alcoholic or not, almost every cocktail can benefit from 2 drops of saline solution, so I'm adding it here as well, and top it up with 4 ounces or 120 ml of tonic water. I'm using Indian tonic water, but Mediterranean tonic water would pair nicely with the botanicals we used as well. Gently mix everything by lifting the cocktail with a bar spoon, then add the garnish, a circle of lemon peel, with essential oils expressed over the cocktail. Let's give it a quick taste before we move on to the Zero Negroni. Nice lemon citrus on the nose, but on the palate it gets slightly less juniper than the original. That gives room for other botanicals to step into the forefront. All things considered, a very enjoyable non-alcoholic highball. I'm pleasantly surprised. More than just not bad at all, and since it's zero proof, there's no fear in trying another cocktail, even if I'm driving home. So let's mix 3 of our zero ABV ingredients and make the Negroni. Again building this in a glass, this time in a chilled global glass over a clear ice sphere. Start with 2 ounces or 60 ml of zero gin. We'll get less dilution from melting of the ice, since there's no alcohol, so we're adding a bit more of our ingredients. Next, 1.5 ounce or 45 ml of a zero sweet vermouth. And lastly, a little less, 1.25 ounce or 37.5 ml zero Campari. These 2 work great in a zero Boulevardier, so we'll see if it's the same with a zero Negroni. Same as with a gin and tonic. Add 2 drops of 20% saline solution. Stir to chill, then express orange essential oils and place the peel in the glass. Looks like the real deal, but how does it taste? The aroma is really close to the original, with plenty of orange. On the palate, it's slightly sweeter than the original, but still pleasantly bitter, with plenty of herbal botanicals and warm spices. Not all of them correspond directly to what you'd expect in a Negroni, but it's a great non-alcoholic alternative to the Count's signature drink. With that, we've made it to the bottom of the glass. Post a tumbler glass emoji to let me know you've made it all the way here. You know what? Make it 2. They're non-alcoholic today. With that said, a word of warning before we finish. As mentioned in our part 2 of Dangerous Ingredients episode, using juniper should be done with some care. First, not all varieties are edible, so be careful if you'll be the one doing the foraging as well. And second, juniper should be avoided altogether if you're pregnant or trying to become pregnant. I'll leave a WebMD link in the description for more info on that. And again, let me know if you'd like to see other non-alcoholic ingredients. Until then, cheers!